Hello, I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Once upon a time, there lived a prominence tree. It was large and lush, its roots were nourished with life. It stood tall and supplied sustenance as its branches reached out to touch the earth. But eventually, its leaves began to turn yellow and wither. People watered its leaves and painted its trunk, but still it died. Yet no one bothered to check below and nourish its roots. Today, that tree is our world. We're still so committed to finding ways to save the leaves, for instance, education, hunger, and climate change, and yet we don't ever seek to solve things at the root. But what if I told you there exists one goal, one common root that would resuscitate all branches with that alone? It would be anything but glamorous and anything but poetic. It would be instead the engine we have overlooked for so very long. SDG 16. Peace, justice, and strong institutions. All that we build rests on trust. Trust that our cities remain safe. Trust that laws remain fair. And trust that the truth can be spoken without fear. But from a world torn apart, from wars to corruption lurking behind polished doors, trust has broken down. Peace is the foundation, and justice and institutions are its roots and branches on which progress sprouts. In short, SDG 16 aims at ensuring that societies become more secure, equitable, and trustworthy. It aims at eliminating violence, combating corruption, and ensuring people have access to justice. It arose as a solution to global challenges like conflict, institutions, and bad governance that hold societies back and make them live in cycles and cycles of poverty. The first set of SDG, which deals with equality and social justice, rests exclusively on this foundation. To eradicate poverty and hunger, improve health and education, tackle gender equality, and reduce inequality, all of these require institutions. Today, more than 700 million people are living in extreme poverty. 735 million chronically suffer from hunger, and half the world's people have half the population of low and middle income countries do not have access to these essential health services. A staggering 244 million children are left out of school. Moreover, almost a third of women and girls suffer gender-based violence. And 10% of global income goes to the wealthiest 10% of the population. The second cluster, economic growth, decent work, and infrastructure, again identifies the same fact. Corruption itself costs more than 5% a year of global GDP, and limited labor rights and reduced investments. It affects more than 2 billion workers who are not protected, and more than a third of money invested in infrastructure goes to waste due to inefficiency and corruption. SDG 16 sets forth the rules of law, which safeguards contracts, innovation, and makes growth ethical and sustainable. Environmental sustainability constitute the third cluster. Going climate, protect life below water, and protect life on land will never be achieved without enforcement and compliance. At present, 1 million species are in the brink of extinction. A third of fisheries are overfished, and the oceans absorb 90% of global surplus heating. We have ineffective institutions which enable illicit dumping, cutting down, and hunting. Effective ones will ensure compliance with environmental rules, backed up by guarantees for adapted triple climate finance by 2030. The fourth sector, urban and community development, is about clean water, affordable energy, and safe cities. It relates to services that will collapse with corruption. 2.2 billion people deal with problems with clean drinking water, and half the world lives in cities and can be at risk because of bad administration. Goal 16 emphasizes accountability for service distribution, city planning, and infrastructure. It makes cities resilient and they should be sustainable. Finally, global cooperation and partnerships highlights that no single sustainable development goal can be achieved alone. Almost 70% of SDG targets have requirements for global cooperation, and trust is at the core. Lack of trust will deteriorate our agreements of efforts, and successfully institutions empower nations to make promises, share information, and address global challenges like health, climate change, and migration. SDG 16 helps achieve stability and enables global cooperation. Therefore, let us focus on the tree once again. We can either continue to irritate the dead leaves and watch the tree fall apart, or we can rebuild trust and strong foundation for justice and institutions, and we watch as branches bloom once again. Peace isn't the reward for progress. Peace is instead the soil that progress blooms within. And if we want a tree of humanity that can stand tall once again, we need to start at the roots, which incidentally is exactly where life begins. Thank you very much.